the UI looks pretty appealing, right? Yeah, okay. So those are the legends for you. So from what we have seen, I'm sure this is a milestone, right? So that is like rescheduled. I think this will give you a clear picture of almost all the entities on the Gantt, right? You see, you see the same taskbar that has both the shades, which means a completed and a percentage is yet to be completed, right? And you can also maximize and just work around with the different attributes of these tasks, right? And if you're not very particular about the data that is projected here, you can choose to just mask them over with the Gantt view and go ahead with it. So these are the two basic types of the Gantt chart that we will be dealing with in projects. So one is the milestone Gantt and the other one is the chronology Gantt. So pretty much as far as the data is concerned, nothing is going to change. So maybe you can draw an analogy with respect to the classic and the plain view, in the tasks module against the chronology and the milestone Gantt here, because the chronology Gantt is going to strictly adhere to, the tasks and their schedules, right? So you do not see any task list or milestone level information on the left. It is strictly based on the timeline of the tasks. So it is chronological. So the sorting is just based on the schedule of the tasks. Wherein when it is milestone Gantt, you get to see, the hierarchical view of the tasks on the Gantt. And I'm sure most of you would love managing your tasks right from the Gantt view, right? So how many of you manage it right from the Gantt view instead of, do you prefer using the tasks module or the Gantt? So any answers for that? Like, because I've heard people using the Gantt mode a lot because it's a lot of things get solved with just a drag and drop. So any responses for that question? Tasks module or the Gantt charts? Which one do you prefer? Gantt. Okay. So Adrian says Gantt. Geoff is for tasks view. Right. So Victor says Gantt is good to quickly create dependencies between tasks by drag and drop. Right. Ben says haven't used Gantt since the 80s. Then you have to try this. Then for a change, maybe you'll have to try this Gantt and let us know how it is. Leon is very much familiar with the Gantt critical path and baselines. Okay. Okay, so for Lewis, it depends on the project. That makes sense. Yes. That's great. Okay. All right. So you can just choose to view all the data there or apply filters as necessary. And like how you saw filters, for the tasks or the milestones for that matter, you also have a filter icon here. So these are the entities, uh, that have to be showcased with respect to the UI part of handling the Gantt charts. So the placing of icons are very similar. So how do you add a task or filter data? Or how do you sort, switch back to different type of views? So everything is very similar to how you manage stuff on the tasks module, right? So do you see, so yes, so here, you know, you can just hold the Alt key and create a dependency. You can just drag and drop it to any other task, maybe say, for example, okay. Right? A dependency is added successfully. I just, so the key shortcut for this is you have to hold the Alt key and just try to drag a line between two specific tasks. When you do that, a dependency is already created, right? So when you just hover over the line that is drawn, when you try to create dependency between two specific tasks, you get to see this one. So where you can go and manage the predecessor or a successor. And as the name goes, I don't think much of definition is needed for what a predecessor is. So in dependencies, it is always about two specific tasks, and one has to depend on the other to start or stop. And like any other PM tool in the market, we support all the four types of dependencies, be it finish to finish, or finish to start, or start to start, or start to finish for that matter. Project supports all four types of dependencies, right? So a predecessor is a task that is scheduled to happen before a specific task. And a successor is something that follows the current task. So that is with what a predecessor or a successor is. And you can also choose to, select the project and type the task name. I'm just doing a rough guess of what tasks could be available. All right. So you can add predecessors that way. You can just hit the add predecessor option and proceed with the adding one. And in the successor, we can see that there is already a task that is scheduled as a successor to this task, right? And it is scheduled to follow the start to start fashion. And if you want to, you can just change the dependency type. And when I changed it, do you see the alterations that have already happened on the Gantt? It wasn't like this before, right? Yes, now it's gone. So based on the type of dependency that I choose, so this is to start, which means both the successor and the predecessor, both the A and B tasks of this dependency should start together. So that is the logic. So when I choose this type of dependency, they are aligned on the Gantt in such a way that they start together, right? And if you want, you can also set a time lag between these two tasks. All right. See, I just set a lag of 2 days. So that has kind of, placed the successor uh, to happen after 2 days. So that is setting a gap of 2 days between, task A and task B, right? And you can also choose to unlink a specific dependency if you want to. And I know it's a little trickier to spot this dependency removal stuff on the Gantt. So you can just hover over any dependency and click the unlink button to remove this dependency if you want to. And you can just explore with these options. This is with respect to how you rescale the chart, right? So you can just zoom it in or zoom it out, and you can also fit everything to your frame so that you will just get a clear view of all the tasks on this Gantt, right? So these three icons are for scaling. All right, so this is how you manage the milestone Gantt or the chronology Gantt and the manage dependencies, right? So along with dependencies, I will also touch base the two other concepts that are very closely, related to the Gantts, right? So one is the baseline and the other one is a critical path. So what is a baseline? So what according to you is a baseline and how do you expect baseline to function in Zoho projects? Yes, Malu, I'm just coming into the baseline topic now. So what do you expect baselines to do in Zoho projects? All right, I think that question keeps everyone thinking. So I would just get into it then. So a baseline is a benchmark that you set, right, at one specific timeline of your project and compare the status later, right? So when you create a baseline, maybe when I just show you how to set a baseline, you should be able to figure out, right? So baseline April 2020, right? So this is going to be my set or compare baseline. So I just set the baseline now. All right. So it is being created. According to me, I see baseline this way. It is the only feature in projects or in project management for that matter, which can be created and not be used immediately. You cannot put it to use immediately. That is the nature of a baseline because a baseline is the benchmark that you set. So it is just going to capture the instantaneous status, the overall status of the project. It is going to just freeze, take a screenshot of how well the tasks are placed on the GANs. So how the tasks are scheduled at that moment. For example, when I just created this baseline now, baseline April 2020, though I have created it, I will not be able to, do anything with it except for comparison. So you use a baseline to compare it with something else, right? So that is what it does. So you can create a baseline and compare it with a previously created one because we've got enough uh, baselines already in place. It is easier for us to just create an instantaneous screenshot of the status of the project and just compare it with respect to the previous one. All right. So if that is the case, and so can you also see the gray line that is there? So this, it just gives you the comparison. So it is just going to give you how well are you in page. So not much of difference has happened with respect to these tasks uh, before and after the baseline. So maybe you should take it that way. All right. And as for the baselines in projects are concerned, we currently support schedule-based baseline. We still do not have resource level or resource level based baseline concepts yet. So currently you can just monitor or compare the status of all the tasks with respect to their schedules using baseline. So that is the best recommended business practice that is behind using baselines. And slippage is a term. This is the difference between the baseline and the current date. And when I enable the slippage, right, it will calculate the slippage. And when I hover over, it is also going to show me the task finish and the slack. So coming to critical path, I'll first disable both the critical path and the Slack details, right? So that you will see the difference between a pre-critical path and a post-critical path status of the project, right? So it involves a lot of math behind, but to put things very simpler on the front, I would say critical path is a potential risk identifier of your project. So all you have to do is, if you're managing a lot of projects and if you're someone so used to GANs, I will always recommend you to go and just toggle this option on to see which series of tasks are highlighted in red, right? I think currently the project does not have any tasks that affect the deadline of the project. So that is why everything is stable, which is also a good sign. I think as a manager or someone who administers a project, it is better if nothing is highlighted in red when you switch on a critical path. So critical path is a feature uh, that will highlight the series of tasks which might affect the deadline of your project if delayed badly. So that is going to just, highlight the chain of tasks that have to be very closely monitored so that your project is on track. So any delay, if that, you will have to not break the chain, at the same time make it happen on time. So that is the logic behind it. So with critical path, I'll just try to modify the data in order to help you have a clear view on how a critical path will look like when you enable it. Say, for example, I just move things a bit. Oh, yes. Right? Because it's April 2020, I'm sure this task should have been scheduled before April ends. And now that my critical path is already on, this is being highlighted in red. It was in blue before. And when I switch it off, things are very normal because my risk identifier is off. And that is why it shows up as any other normal task on the Gantt. And when I switch it on, it is like red alert, guys. So you will have to do necessary arrangements, shuffle resources. So this will not directly affect the output of your project. This all lies in your decision making. This is going to influence your decisions. Maybe I put it that way. So critical path is a risk identifier that will help the decision makers take a good call and do the proper modifications in the way you work. Maybe pull in a lot of resources to finish the task on time, or maybe do a greater brainstorming, to identify the external factors that affect the completion of the project. So whatever effort it takes to resolve this, closure issue, that can be done with the help of this feature. So that is the business benefit behind critical paths, right? So is everything clear? I hope you now know what a baseline and a critical path are for. So that is with the Gantt charts. So we have covered almost all the topics on a Gantt. And now it is it is time to learn the resource utilization. So as the very name goes, I think resource utilization is also something that gains a lot of attention, right? When it comes to planning and tracking work, it is something that is mostly sought after. And things are very colorful. There are fulcrums and there are numbers, right? They might look a lot chunky or a lot data-ish, but it is just that it is a module that is going to show how occupied your resources are, right? So this will give you the legends. So something that's green, that means that a resource is free for that specific day or that specific timeline. And if someone's, resource utilization fulcrum highlights in blue, then it means that they are optimally allocated. So they have enough things on their plate. And obviously, the universal color code that it is red, but ours is a little orangish. And that denotes that, someone is over allocated. So you can maybe free up them a little bit by, offloading some work from them and stuff like that, right? So these are the 3 or 4 basic color codes that the resource utilization chart will follow. All right. So when you click on the number of tasks that is available under a specific resource in this view, you get to see what specific task is also assigned to them, right? And if you want, you can also navigate to that specific task from the resource utilization view. And what you're currently seeing is, the daily view or the calendar view for that specific week, if I'm right. And you can as well switch to a monthly view, right? If you want to. So I just wanted to switch to this view because the look and feel will be different. So this will give you a better picture about how well is a resource placed over the month across tasks, right? So you can simply hover over and get all the stats of, you know, uh, how good or bad is a resource allocated in your team. And I'm just searching for an example to show the indication when a specific person is off for that day. So I do not have data on this screen at the moment, but I can tell that if your portal is integrated with Zoho People, then the resource utilization view will indicate the time offs of a specific resource over this calendar. So you would be able to spot a person icon, you know, uh, with a strikeout on that icon. So if possible, I would just try to get the data for that. And that will be shown on this calendar view. So you can also filter out a few things. Maybe uh, we hardly have any data for this. All right. Oh, my bad. Sorry. So Helen has got 9 tasks under her, so you will see, I think this task is a recurring task, and that is why it is plotted like this on the resource utilization chart. This is another task. That's a normal one. So this is the task split up under a specific resource. So just to give you the difference that this is going to be the overall status of the resource allocation of that resource. And this is the split up of each and every task that is mapped to this resource for that specific time frame. All right. So planned versus actual is very simple and straightforward, right? So you get to see the details of all the users or specific users with respect to a specific time frame, and see the planned and the actual difference in terms of work or cost and the variance for that matter. So you can always pull that variance in terms of, work and budget from this report. Okay, is it audible now? Sorry, is it audible now? Okay, okay. Thank you. I was just briefing about the planned and actual report. I think that is when you were not able to hear me properly, right? So this report will, consolidate all the data and give you the report of how much number of hours were actually planned for a resource and how much of the actual hours have gotten into the time logging and what is the difference, how well has the resource done or how productive has the resource been. So the difference, the planned actual parameters along with the difference with respect to work and cost would be projected on this chart. I hope my audio is clear now. If you're facing any difficulties, please feel free to ping in the chat. Okay. So this is the task reports module, right? So we have generated a few basic reports and a few advanced ones for you, which are pretty much straightforward, but very useful too, right? So if you want to generate status-based reports or milestone or priority-based ones, we have, pre-filled the data. This is pretty much like a custom view in a graphical form. Maybe I would put it that way. So instead of applying filters or generating custom views and looking at the data in terms of records, the task reports will give you a clear, picture of the different criteria generated as reports and pre-fed as well. So you get the basic reports on these 5 or 6 predefined categories. So based on status, milestone, or priority, or owner, you get to see the number of tasks assigned against every owner. So this is about, again, the task count versus the milestones, right? So this means roughly 47 tasks do not have any milestones associated with them. And this is going to mean that, 85 tasks have been 100% completed and hardly 7 tasks have been 10% completed, which is a good sign for a project, right? So that's how the basic reports work. And if you want, you can choose to, modify the kind of graph that you want to have a look at. So if you want, you can just choose to have the X and Y axis like this, or, a pie chart like this, or a donut chart like this. So you can just go and play around with the shapes here. And again, as any other filter would function in any other module in projects, you can access the filters, from this option and filter the data set and view them as reports. And once you generate a report, like how you were able to export a timesheet into a PDF, or an XLS for that matter, similarly, you would be able to export a specific report after generation into a PDF format. Or you can also view the export history from this option. And what is with advanced reports? With advanced reports, we have introduced a few permutations and combinations for that matter. So in the advanced reports, the first 3 reports will be owner-wise, stats. So owner-wise task status or owner-wise completion report or task priority related ones. And when it comes to customized task reports, we give you 5 options on both the X and Y axis. and you can just choose to create your own combination. It could be owner versus status or priority versus milestone. And you can just go ahead and see the report for that specific combination. So this is the same with the issue reports as well. The concepts are the same. The way to look at the chart, everything is consistent, only that you will see issue-based fields here instead of the task-based ones. And along with the customized issue report, we give you a straightforward created versus closed issues report here, just that this chart does not have enough data. Let's just try our luck. Oh, my bad. We do not have enough records. At least we had one before. All right, so we will stick to this only, right? And you can also look at the tasks, and if I'm right, you should be able to navigate to that specific entity right from this report. I think you can do it. Should I check that and get back? So this is just the status. Right? It is not a specific entity. Otherwise, if they display the list of tasks under a report, you should be able to navigate to that specific work item right from the report. Right? This is just a summary of how many issues were created in December 2019. Again, like the task or the issue reports, we have timesheet reports in place, right? So yes, this is an example of how a timesheet report will look like. And maybe to have a clear picture, you can just see, the number of hours logged by the user versus who logged it. Yeah, this is the clickable entities that I was talking about before. So now that this report shows Helen has logged 4,000 plus hours in this project. So when I click this specific user, it will directly take you to the time logs of Helen Collins. This is what I was trying to get right in the last report screen. All right, I think we've covered all the entities of the GANs and reports. So shall we move on to collaboration? So we've got a handful of modules, to be discussed when it comes to collaboration in Zoho projects. So can we move on to collaboration, folks? Great. Okay. All right. So when it comes to collaboration, we've got four important modules in place, right? And I have to tell you this very confidently that no other project management tool in the market provides you these many options to effectively collaborate in many modes with your team, right? So you will see as we explore each and every feature that is available to collaborate better in your project, right? So on that, according to me, feed tops the list. So we've got, I would just first give you a glimpse of what are those modules that play a major part in collaboration, and then maybe we will cover each and everything one by one. All right. So first we have feed. All right. So this feed has status and activity stream. So by the very names, you should be able to figure out what everything does. And this feed is placed at two important places. One on the top navigation bar, which means this is applicable to all the projects present inside this portal. So we call this a global feed. So with this feed, you will be able to know the activities or the happenings uh, that are being, or the activities or the actions that are being made or pushed onto this feed from various projects across this portal. Because this portal might have 50 plus projects up and running, and whatever is being modified or updated in whichever project, for that matter, in this portal would be notified or pushed in the form of a feed here. So the global feed is a great option to have a bird's eye view of what is actually trending or happening literally in your portal, right? So that is a global feed. And you have the feed positioned inside a project as well. We call that a project feed. So the UI is consistent, the placement of tabs are also the same, just that what you see inside a project's feed makes the difference. So you get to see the activities uh, confining only to the chosen project inside this feed. Otherwise, you do not see anything that is not related to Donley Apartments construction. So that is the only difference between the global feed and the project feed. So coming back to this, I would want you to have a closer look at the contextual options that you can make use of, from the feed. Uh, Now, read the content that is on this specific feed very closely. Like Monica seems to have updated the status of two tasks, right? To the to be tested state in the project Donley Apartments construction. So this is the update that has come on the feed. So because this deals with task statuses, we can see contextual options to, modify the status of tasks, you know, right from the other actions menu, right? You will not see these options appear on the other, the other parts of the feed. So though you have the ellipsis icon there, because this deals with milestone, you should definitely be not able to see the options that you were just seeing for a feed that is related to a task update, a status update for that matter, right? You get the difference. So contextually, based on what is pushed to a feed, we populate the other actions contextually onto over this icon. So all you have to do is just click this and manage according to the nature of the information that is available in the feed, right? You can also go and post your status from this tab, right? And when you post a status, because this is global feed, so you can choose to which project it has to be actually posted and just hit submit, right? So you can also go and comment right here. You can also add mention people, right from the status or the comment for that matter. And you can also, use tags if you want to. You can just edit the status, or even convert a status into a task or an issue or a forum. So this is something that will not be available in any other part of the tool. So you will see the provision to convert a status into a task or an issue or a forum here. So this is maybe, you know uh, the use case behind this could be like, not every time that everyone gets a chance to navigate into the tasks module of a project and do it. So even before they could do it, we simply forget, right? Forgetfulness is something that is, tricky. So having a bad memory is good, and it is equally bad at times. So before you forget things, as if someone walks to your bay and they're like, hey, we got to do this, just ensure to finish it before Wednesday EOD or something like that. You can just simply have that as a task created. You can just dump it as a status in the project, and you can just get it converted into a task or an issue or a forum for that matter. You can as well modify or delete your status from the contextual ellipsis icon. And I would say status is pretty much like a subset of the feed, right? Because the status is going to show only the specific, only this, it is going to filter out all the statuses from the actual feed, and it is going to show you. So if you're very sure that you had posted something only as a status, and you want to just pull that up in a bit, maybe you can just use this tab and quickly hop on to the status that you had wanted to look for. An activity stream is pretty much the activity log of the user. So you just go and see, you know, what has been done, when, and by whom, and all that. So this is what an activity stream is for. So the project feed is also very similar to this. So there are no changes with respect to the functionalities or the icons, uh, or the features for that matter. They're all the same. The only difference is you get to see uh, things happening across all the projects in the global feed, and the ones that are happening strictly within the project inside a project's feed. So that's what a feed is all about. So this is the Documents tab where you can go and manage all your Kbase stuff here, right? And when you create a project, by default, a specific Documents folder is, locally assigned to the project. So you need not have to subscribe to any service to do this. We do it for you. So we get the storage for you. So when you create a project, a default documents folder is created for that specific project. So documents pertaining to that project can be stored inside. They will stay local to the project. There will be no confusion. So we can just collaborate accordingly. You can choose to upload a folder, or you can choose to write a new text document or a spreadsheet or a presentation. And you can also upload files both from your cloud, and also you can upload files or folders from your local computer. You can choose between the list or thumbnail views here, and you can also choose to set your preferences here. For example, if uh, you work for a designing team, and you do not have much to do with the documentation for that matter, so you can just choose to skip all the texty stuff and maybe stick to all the digital media stuff like PDFs, images, audios, or videos, and do it. Right. So earlier you were able to see the documents and presentations here. Now they're all gone because I've set the preferences accordingly. So you can just choose to see what interests you, or what you mostly make use of in your project. And similarly, you can also manage, your folders here. So you can create a subfolder or rename or download it or get the info about the folder in documents. So as you all know that Zoho is transitioning and it has already transitioned towards Work Drive. We also have a lot of changes happening, with the way we see the document management in Zoho projects. When that comes into the picture, I think I will have to mention about an important extension that we have right now for projects. So we have a Google Drive extension, right? So in Marketplace, I think you can go to, maybe I'll share the screen now. So I would just share the screen of the Marketplace. So just to give you a glimpse of, how the extensions for projects look. So are you able to see the Marketplace on my screen? Zoho Marketplace?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Vijay. So yes, so you can go and look out for our extensions here under the project management category. This is a great recent development that has been done by us, right? So you can find extensions for all the three services of ours, except for sprints. We have extensions for projects, Orchestly, and Bug Tracker. And for projects, we've got a handful of extensions, and a few of them are put into great use by our users. You could also give them a try. And one thing that I wanted to give a close mention, because we were talking about document management, is we have an extension called Google Drive for Zoho projects. Yeah. So with the help of this extension, when you install this onto your Zoho Projects portal, you would be able to fetch all your G Drive documents right onto, to your left panel, because we have also introduced a location where you can actually fetch your G Drive as a specific module, right? So this is how it'll look. So when you install the G Drive extension onto your projects portal, so I'm just giving you the highlights of this extension. So if we have time, maybe when we wind up for the day, I would just show you where to go and find these extensions in product, right? So when you install the Google Drive extensions and authenticate Zoho to connect with your Google account, you'd see an option to go and associate files directly, from your G Drive account to the tasks or issues for that matter. So you can manage your G Drive files right from within projects without having to use the documents module. So we are seeing enough places where we can check out the intermediary interface level requirements, so that when you can have extensions in place, then why bother you to use a documents module? So why not give you the privilege to directly fetch files from your third party as and when you need, right? So this is how it would look like. And I would want to know about your interests on using these marketplace extensions. Okay, so maybe I would just like to ask a small question. So give me a minute. This is a small poll that I'm doing to just see how many of you are familiar with our extensions on Marketplace. Okay, so Martin and Kelly seem to have not known about extensions. Okay. I think Milind is a pro user of projects, right, Milind? So he's familiar with the extensions, and Philip is using the one for Dropbox. Matt, it's an obvious yes from you, no doubts. So these are the results. I think Vijay can have a look at it. Yeah, I think then this would definitely be of use to most of you who are not familiar with the extensions, or at least for the fact that projects is into the extensions arena as well. So I just wanted to highlight that thing in this demo today. Though we do not have the marketplace in the agenda, it's always good to, uh, give you the recent developments that the team is currently doing. So let me get back to this. So you can try installing this extension, and you can try using this, uh, and you will be able to, see the power of how it works. So we've also opened locations in the product where you can pull in an extension and use that as a dedicated module in your left panel. So as in when you explore Marketplace and the extensions there, you will get to see the benefits that you will reap out of them, right? So getting back to the product screen. So yes, we were inside the Donley apartment construction, and we were talking about documents. So that is it with documents. Things are pretty straightforward. So I would just move on to the forums module, which is also of equal importance when it comes to collaboration, right? So as the very name goes, a forum is a platform where you tend to discuss things, right? So that is the same here as well. And when you create a new forum post, right, you get to post that as a Q&A session, or make that as a sticky post, right? And when the flag is set to internal, you get to see another option to make that as an announcement as well. So could you relate on to why this option to show a specific post as an announcement showed up after choosing the flag to be internal? That's because, if it is internal, it's a known fact that things will be within the team. So it is going to be shared only with the project users and not with the clients. And when it is external, it is up to you to actually broadcast the message to the whole team. And that is why we do not give you the option to broadcast a message when the specific forum's flag is external, right? So you can always choose to keep it as an internal one and broadcast it if you want to. And as far as the business practice behind a forum is concerned, you can stick to productive brainstorming sessions on whether to go ahead with a feature request by the customers. A lot of decision making can happen over discussions. Or in my team, as a representative of the content marketing team, we usually use forums to update the rest of the team about how an actual trade show went off and how was a partner training, how well did a partner training go on. And I would just come back from a trip and I would just write a post highlighting the takeaways for us as a team from a specific training as a forum post, and post that, because it is something very formal, something that requires a few follow-ups. So we've also implemented a few features or bug fixes for that matter, and that has turned out as very good enhancements later, and that were all a part of following up or doing a lot of brainstorming over discussions like these. So you never know when would a good idea pop up to anyone. So as in when you brainstorm, there are a lot of chances for you to come up with good solutions for your users. So we always recommend you to stick to the forums module if it is going to be a formal announcement or a serious discussion with respect to the product, or something that has to be shared with everyone. Just, maybe the quality assurance team can come up with a set of all the do's and don'ts when it comes to, pushing the next build in your milestone resolution phase. So, or maybe, the product management team can come up with the best work culture practices inside a specific team. So such kind of discussions can be, made as forums, and you can just handle them here. So that is what a forum post is for. And you're looking at a recently created one, and the visual indicators tell what kind of post is it. So a Q stands for a Q&A, and a pinned one means it's a sticky post. So you pin a post to just gain the attention of your readers. So when someone sticks on the top, when it is going to just keep sitting on the top, it's going to just grab your immediate attention. So that is what a forum is for. So these are the major modules that contribute to collaboration, and I hope you have a clear picture about it now. So can we proceed to the finisher of today's session, the issue tracker? So we will see how you can manage defects well with the help of this project management tool. So are we ready to do the final topic of the day? Yes, good, great. All right. So this is the issues module. And with respect to issues, you have a few configurations that you might have to do. So a few teams choose to have that called as defects or tickets for that matter. So you can just go and, rename your issues at this portal level. So whatever icon and the name you choose, that would be reflected across all the projects, because this is an organization level setting. So we can just go and choose to rename the issues, and the text that has to be displayed for your issues in the links or the comments for that matter, you can just choose to have them modified here. Getting back to the issues. So the look and feel of managing issues is going to be as similar to what you have been doing for projects or time logs or milestones for that matter. So you also have a list and a Kanban view in place. You also have a customized column widget where you can choose to toggle between, the fields that you want to view and the ones that or not of immediate importance for your reference. So you can just go and enable and disable a specific column uh, from viewing. And you can also filter, like how you were filtering the tasks or milestones or time logs or reports for that matter. And you can also choose to import or export issues from here. So now we will get into the submitting part of it, when you have to submit a defect into your system, right? So all you need is just the issue title, and every other field is optional for you. So this is the assignee, and this is a reminder. You can choose to set the reminder based on the due date or a specific date. You can also add followers to the specific issue. And you can choose to set the severity. Severity is something that's exclusively, termed for defect management, right? So when you set an issue, when you declare an issue to be a showstopper, it is going to convey that the project will come to a halt if that specific issue is not resolved. So the severity is directly proportional to how quick the project can go off track. So if you have a lot of critical showstopper kind of issues, then it's high time you'll have to think of alternate ways to um, manage things effectively and bring the project back on track. And the release milestone is the milestone with which this would be resolved, and the affected milestone is the milestone that is dependent or that's affected because of the issue. And you can also choose to map a relevant category. You can classify the issue under the listed ones. You can also choose to set the internal or external flag for it. And you can choose the rate of reproducibility of this issue. And this is pretty much a software related term, because not every business might be able to strongly spot whether an issue is reproducible or not, right? So, but in software, it is easier to actually spot. And so this will benefit a lot of software business users. And backup resources is a custom field. You need not have to mind about that. And also the resolve date is again a custom view. And you can add tags like how you've been adding tags for projects or status or issues for that matter. So this is how you submit an issue into this system. Just give a relevant name for this issue. It's taking a while to get added. We'll just navigate to an issue that's already existing and just give a sneak peek of how it looks. So this is no different from how a task looks, right? So you will see the same tabs like comments or attachments or logos. The two different things that will be different from a tasks details page would be link issues. So you have the option to, attach relevant issues to the current one. So while you link, you decide the dependency or the relation uh, that exists between the chosen issue and the other one that you're going to relate it with. So say this is issue A, and it is so blocking some other issue. So we already have a block type issue in place. So this says this issue UI is broken on Chrome DC164 blocks DC159. So it means that, it seems to be a blockage for the resolution of the issue DC-159. So the person who is assigned to resolve, 164 has to ensure that, you know, uh, uh, sorry, the person who has to resolve DC-159 should ensure that 164 is resolved first so that they can resolve this easier. So that is with linked issues. And I will just quickly give you a glimpse of what the issue settings stand for, just touch base what is available there. So you will see the client level permissions. You can choose to let the users view all the external issues or the ones that are reported only by them or reported only by their client company. And vector issue form, and I'm just touch basing the concepts here because I have given a detailed explanation in the form of a video as a handout in this training. And that is why I'm kind of light with this module because it is as far as the UI part of it is concerned, it is very similar to how you manage tasks or milestones or time blocks. So the placement of icons are very consistent. So that should not confuse you. Otherwise, with respect to the settings and the business benefits behind every issue settings, you will have a recording that is available as one of the handout materials as part of this training. You can refer to that later. So vector issue form is used to let someone who's external to projects, file a defect onto your project. So that is the use behind the web to issue form. So someone who is not a part of the portal should still be able to, file a defect. And link issues is something that we had already covered. And email templates goes without saying. So this lets you configure emails so that you can use them when you have to trigger SLAs or send notifications for that matter. And we've got notifications, business rules, webhooks, and custom functions as part of the issue automations. I think we are kind of done with today's session. So are we all good? Great, 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 great. Great, great, great. And I have to appreciate, the level of interest that you have all shown. We just had a talk with the team as well. All of you were excellent. Thank you so much for, investing a lot of time with Zoho in learning new stuff, right? Every day. Oh, that's very sweet of you, Victor. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to have been connected with all of you, right? So it's okay. I would catch up with all the left out sleep tomorrow. So that being a weekend, And I have a few announcements with respect to the certifications. So just, it would be great if you can hold on for a bit. So I have a small update from the partner training team. So I would just brief on them shortly. So, all right. So I have a few updates from the partner team. So it looks like the recordings for this project session, the sessions are being recorded. So you will get the recordings onto your mailbox maybe in a week or so. Or you can also find the recordings on the Zoho Spark website, all right? And then you can also refer to the FAQs on the training and certification material that is given as a handout as part of this training. I hope the partner team sends out that as a common handout for every other product training. So you can always go and refer to the FAQ section there. And they've also told that the exams would be open only after desk assessed analytics and campaign, because it looks like bulk registrations have come in for CRM. So the teams are really busy with assessing everything and sending out the certificates or the badges for that matter. So, and then we have desk assist analytics and campaign in the lined up. So after all of those are getting over, then you might get an invite to maybe take up the project certification. So you will have to maybe frequently check your mail to get the certification invite for projects, I believe. And if you have any other queries regarding the certifications, I would just drop in an email address to which you can always write a mail to. So it is partnertraining@sohocorp.com. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think the crowd is very happy today. I can just go and sleep very peacefully, right? So it was a great session, and I have to appreciate, the active participation from all of you, and also the fiery responses given by the customer success experts there. And it was also, a great opportunity for us to connect with all of you through this platform. So because in classroom trainings, we don't get to connect with a larger audience. And as representatives of projects, not everyone gets a chance to interact with all of you. So, oh, Victor, where did he go in the middle? So we are done with the session. So anyways, you have a recording, Victor. You need not have to worry about that. So you will receive the recording. You can always go and, all right. Okay, great. So thank you so much. I think your questions are also being answered. Thank you. Thank you, Sebastian. Thanks for the feedback. So made my day, all of you. Oh, and my excellent support experts have left no stones unturned. So no questions unanswered. The unanswered plate is very clean here. And there comes Milind. He's like, boom, I just, put a black mark, right? So Milind, I'm not sure whether you will be able to save the questions, but I can check with the partner team whether you can get the chat transcript. So there should be an option to export the Q&A from this session. And that is why we're asking you to stick to the questions tab instead of the chat tab, so that it's easier for them to, pull out the lot. All right. Okay. So Vijay, do you have anything to add to?
No, Kritika, that's
all right.
Yeah,
okay.
You can wrap up this. It was
okay.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Vijay. Yeah. So thanks, everyone. It was a great session. Thank you so much.